Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is African Global Insights, and I'm your host, Steve Agee. And let's get into it. So, why won't ECOWAS leave the AES countries alone? They've already expressed an interest in leaving ECOWAS, and for all intents and purposes, they have already left ECOWAS, but ECOWAS still is trying to bring them back. So the acronym ECOWAS stands for Economic Community of West African States. Now, prior to 2023, this international organization was comprised of 15 African countries as members. In 2021, there was a coup in Mali, which saw the installation of Assimi Goïta as president of Mali. In September of 2022, in Burkina Faso, there was also a coup that saw the installation of Captain Ibrahim Traoré as interim president of Burkina Faso. And in 2023, in Niger, there was a coup which saw the installation of Abdurrahmani Chiani as head of state. On September 16th of 2023, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger announced the creation of the Alliance of Sahel States, which goes by the acronym that most people use, AES, which was primarily a mutual defense pact between the three nations. In January of 2024, these AES countries formally announced their intention to leave ECOWAS for good. And that meant that they filed all of the requisite paperwork to leave based on the ECOWAS rules and regulations. And I think that it's going to take about 12 months, a year to leave to formalize this process. So in January of 2025, they should be officially out. In July of this year, or in July of 2024, the AES countries formally formed a confederation. Now, this confederation is against neocolonialism, it's anti-French, and it's really anti-ECOWAS in outlook. Now, colonization is a business first and foremost. And with ECOWAS seems to be an organization around the colonization of these African countries in which it seems to control. So if it's a business, what are the tangible products of this particular business? Every business has a product or service. So usually it's raw minerals, oil, strategic land, seaports, things like that, or some combination of these primarily. Now, with colonization being a business, this is a very big business, as you can imagine. And there are a lot of ancillary industries that support this main business, such as all types of consultants, equipment suppliers, weapons suppliers, land, air, and sea transportation and logistics, food export and imports, financial institutions for investing, banking, etc. These are all of the ancillary industries that are around this major umbrella business of colonization. So the businesses of this size, they also have investors, right? So who is investing in exploiting these African countries inside ECOWAS? They would be other corporations, banks, wealthy investors, taxpayers. And the taxpayers are passive investors because they usually can't opt out of the taxes, like payroll taxes and sales taxes, and they have no say over where that tax money goes, right? Another thing that corporations or businesses of this size have are employees. Now, this brings us to the ECOWAS leaders. These leaders essentially are employees of this specific colonizing operation. Well, I don't know the full business model for this organization or this corporation, but I do know that any financial accounting and projections were built on the revenue derived from the former 15 members of ECOWAS. And now that these three countries are leaving or have left, depending on how you look at it, their numbers have changed, and this presents a big problem. So about 5 years back, I worked for a company that won a bid to provide a platform that would replace the old mobile text messaging platforms of the top mobile providers in the United States. So what they wanted to do was they wanted to upgrade from text messaging to like a more modern, up-to-date app, something like WhatsApp, right? But on the back of that business model were corporations that said that if all of these companies were going to do this jointly, they wanted advertising access to those millions of subscribers, like 390 million subscribers of these big mega corporations. So, but along the way in the project, Sprint and T-Mobile merged, and then they started to drop out of the project, right? So when that happened, all of the businesses that were waiting to get access to all of these subscribers and were going to pay big money for advertising through this new platform, this new messaging platform, they weren't as interested. Because why? They weren't as interested because now if T-Mobile and Sprint merged and they were dropping out of the project, the projections and the numbers that they had for this whole endeavor had changed. It had been reduced. Initially, they were thinking, hey, we have a certain number, 390 million subscribers. If we do advertising, of course, we get a response from a certain smaller number of those subscribers, and then we get sales from an even smaller number. But that small number of sales still goes into the hundreds of thousands, into the millions, right, for sales. So the whole thing blew apart. The project kind of went away, unfortunately. But this colonization business also has very specific calculations and projections, right? And these are for their investors and their stakeholders that I mentioned before. So when Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger fled Ecowas, it was like those two companies that I mentioned in that project dropping out of that project. It changed the numbers. It changed the projections. And most importantly, it changed the revenue and the ROI, the return on investment. So now the investors and stakeholders are not as happy with Ecowas because the returns on investments are less, obviously. So what do? As a corporation or as an entity, you put pressure on the responsible employees to bring back these breakaway countries and bring them back into the fold. Now, have you noticed that these Ecowas leaders were using this term, back into the fold? So I found it weird because they were all different leaders and people in Ecowas were using the same term. So I went to go look it up. So the word fold, when used as a verb, means to bend or crease, like you're folding clothes. But when used as a noun, the first sense of the definition is, and I quote, a fenced enclosure for livestock, especially sheep. Let me say this again. The definition for fold as a noun is a fenced enclosure for livestock, especially sheep. Let that sink in for a moment. Anyway, how do the employers compel the performance of the employees? They do this through benefits and privileges or punishments. So power over the less powerful works by presenting these benefits and privileges of doing what they want you to do, or punishments for you not performing. So what are the Ecowas leaders promised for managing this project? I would assume they probably promised a lot of money, maybe land, political support, power, foreign property, foreign bank account, who knows, right? A lot of stuff. But whatever the benefits are, they're pretty significant. because these guys are scrambling. I mean, they're really scrambling to bring the AES countries back into Ecowas. So what are the punishments if these countries are not brought back into the fold? I don't know, but I would assume it would include taking away or greatly reducing these benefits. Now, in my humble opinion, that is why the ECOWAS leaders were first trying to bully Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger into coming back. But now they're trying to romance them back, right? They're trying to finesse them back because the bullying didn't work. But based on how this whole thing went down, with these leaders, Ibrahim Traore, Assimi Goïta, and Abdurrahmane Tiani, they can't go back. There's no way that they can go back to ECOWAS. It would be political suicide. And they seem to have formed this collaborative associations between themselves, and they're doing a lot, in which I'll discuss in future videos. But it's based on a set of Pan-African inspired principles. And when you stand on your principles with courage, it's very difficult for others to shake that foundation. So what do you think? Why is ECOWAS so intent on bringing Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger back into ECOWAS? Let us know what you think in the comments section, and as always, I look forward to the conversation. I'm out.